In this video, we'll see the request manager view for a count-based catalog. So catalog overview. Once the request manager logs into the OpenSpecimen, ensure they have enough rights to the catalog, to the collection protocol, to the data that they will be distributing further. If the samples are stored in any specific container, then access to those containers as well. So in here, I have logged in as a request manager and we'll be seeing today the count-based catalog overview. So this is the demo specimen count-based catalog I'll be using for a video purpose. As you can see on the overview page, there are different fields for the catalog that you can see, the title, the display, what are the queries that you use to create this catalog, who is the request manager to the catalog, and the catalog URL, whether the catalog is public or private. Since this doesn't require any login, it means this catalog is a public catalog. Now, since we have seen how the overview page looks like, now let's see how to view a request in any catalog. So you can see the view request option over here. Request manager can see all the requests that has been put by different researchers. You can see there are a couple of pending requests, some are of approved, some are of closed because they are already distributed. This is how you can view any request. Whenever researchers puts the request manager also receives the email notification that the request has been put. So for example, let's see these latest requests you see 245, 246 request. So you will receive an email like this saying that the new request 246 has been put. And by clicking on the view request option, you can navigate to that request. Now let's see one of the request over here. Okay. So once you click on the any request that is put by researcher, you can see there are different fields on this page. There are different options to perform on this request. So we'll go one by one through it. Okay. So before going to the action buttons, I would like to show you how to add and remove specimens using specimen label and using specimen barcode. So why request manager would be adding any specimen or removing any specimen from the request? It could be that researcher has requested for certain samples, but due to any reason that sample is not available in inventory. So to encounter that request or to meet the requirement of that request, a request manager can remove a certain samples and replicate with a or replace with another sample that satisfy the same condition. So in the count based catalog, you see two options on this page. One is the cart, other is the specimens. So before approving or rejecting or performing any action on the request, you can add specimens in this. Okay. So let's say I want to add a certain specimen. Okay. When I click on the add specimen, it gives me two options. Whether it could be I can add a label here or I can use a barcode. Let me just put a label first and show you how it looks. So this is the specimen that I'm going to add. So once the specimen is added to the request, you receive the pop-up like this and you can see the specimen is added in the request. Similarly, if you want to add it using a barcode, you'll need to select this option, use specimen barcode, and then you can put in the barcode in this box. You can, if you have multiple specimens to add, you can put a comma or add it as a new line sample and it will get added. Now you can see both samples are added over here. Along with that, since you have a cart, okay, these are the 4 samples and this is the one sample that researcher has requested for. Out of which, let's say I add these 2, okay, to the specimen. While adding it to the, I'll need to select the distribution protocol to under which I'll be distributing this sample further. So I'll select the solvanc here. So now I've added this too, but I do not have these samples. Later on, I realized that I do not have these samples in inventory. So I can just select these samples and remove it from the specimen cart. So this is how you can add or remove the samples from the specimen cart using the labels or barcodes. Remember that if you need to add or remove samples, the request has to be in the pending status. Once you approve or reject the status, you will not be able to no longer add any specimen or remove any specimen in the cart. So this is how the specimen addition and removal works. Now let's see the actions on the request, like how to edit, approve, reject, or even reset it to the pending request, and lastly the downloading the report. Okay. So now here if you see these fields, you can see the description, the grant number, the shipping address, contact details, all is put by researcher. If there is anything missing in this form, you can update this form by edit option, and then you can put the details and just update it. Okay. Approving request. Let me just approve the request. Now I have seen that I'm ready with this request. Okay. And approving the request. So you see the request has been approved. As soon as I approve the request, if I go to the specimen tab, the no longer add specimen button is visible. Even if I select the samples, the remove option is not visible anymore. So that's because you have approved the request. Now if you have approved the request by mistake, you can reset it to the pending. You can select this option and approved by mistake. Okay, and reset it. So you can see the request goes back to the pending. Reject works the same way. You rejected it, and if you want to mark it as pending again, the option is same. Reset it to the pending. Now let me just approve this request and let me show you further. Okay. So this is how the edit, approve, reject, and request to pending works. Okay. Since you perform these actions, on every action, the request manager receives the email notification. So if I navigate back, you can see this request is approved. I have received the email that James request manager has approved the request with the approval comment and due date. When I set it as a request to pending, reset to pending, then also I received an email that this request has been set to pending again. So on every action, the request manager will get a notification that this action has been performed on this request. Okay. Now, once you approve the request, now you have the cart. Now you can select which specimens you want to add it in the specimen cart and distribute it further. So I want to add these two. Okay. Now I've added it to the request. As soon as I add these two samples in the request, you can see the specimen cart. The samples are visible over here. Let's go back. I want to add the cDNA sample as well. Okay. I'll select it, add it to the specimen added. Okay. And now navigate back. Now you can see the specimen is added over here. So this is how you can add the specimens from the cart to the specimen review page over here. From here further you can distribute these samples. So what is the difference between the distribute versus the distribution or distribute all? Now on this page you can see the distribute all button is visible. But if you select any sample, you can see there is a distribute option as well gets enabled. So difference between these two is basically if you want to distribute all the samples that you see over here, you can directly use a distribute all option. But if you wish to distribute only specific samples as of now, you can select those samples individually and then use a distribute option. As soon as you click on a distribute all or a distribute, you will navigate it to the orders page, and from there you can put an order and distribute these samples. So this is how the distribute versus distribute all function works. And last part of this video will be a view orders. So once you approve and distribute all the samples, the request will get marked as closed. Okay. And then from here, you can either download a report and view orders. The downloaded report looks like this. So if you could see, it includes the details that researcher has put, also the who is the request manager, who has approved this request, and it also contains what type of samples that you have distributed from that request. So in this request, if you see, these are the samples that I have distributed. These are the same samples details are available in the request CSV. So you can download that report using download report option. You can view order, the order that gets created as you distribute any samples. So once you click on the view order, This is the latest request order you can see, where you have distributed the 7 samples that I just showed in the CSV. So this is how you can view orders. Along with that, in email notification, if you could see, let me just open this. Okay, so in distribute, whenever researcher puts any request, you get a CSV of that copy. So if you see here, that CSV, that it contains all the details that researcher has put in the request form, like what is the institute, what is the address where we need to ship this sample, so distribute this sample, what is the IRB ID, the email address of that researcher, and along with that, what type of samples that he or she has requested. You can see that in the CSV. The same copy is sent to the request manager and researchers who are logged in users.